So here we are. We started with 18 candidates on the Republican side, 5 on the Democratic side, and now we're down to 2 who also happen to be the 2 least popular candidates in the entire race. On the face of it, seemingly Trump's nomination, I guess it's inevitable now, his nomination, it would be good news for Hillary. But it's a little too early to celebrate because Hillary Clinton is the least popular candidate in modern Democratic Party history, while Trump hasn't even reached peak popularity yet. And last night pretty much proved it. Months ago, we wrote him off as a guy who couldn't get 40% of the vote in most states, much less 50. And he swept every state without any problems, and the guy's still getting support right now from Republicans just resigning themselves to the idea that Ted Cruz and John Kasich ain't going to save their party. While Hillary's actually falling in the polls, regardless of how these individual primaries have shook out, she's pretty much tied in almost every national poll with Bernie Sanders right now. So you have Trump rising, you have Hillary falling, and now Trump is doing his big pivot, right? Today he gave his foreign policy speech where he read off a teleprompter like a grown-up. Yesterday he gave a press conference where he didn't mention his dick even once. And, he's becoming that boring presidential guy that he said he would all along. And let's face it, Americans have pretty short attention spans, and there's 6 months until November. So we can all pretty much forget about crazy-ass Trump and when we see low-key, tame Trump for the next 6 months leading up to the general.
Medicated.
Medicated. The Democrats had a chance. They had a fresh new face, albeit a 74-year-old one, but still a guy who, despite being a self-proclaimed socialist, did much better against the Republicans than Hillary because he wins over independents, which is, half the country. So instead they picked the one candidate who's vulnerable enough to maybe have a chance to lose to Trump, a woman candidate who's disliked by more than half of the women in the country. We already know this is going to be an ugly race. It's not going to be pretty. There's going to be a lot of voting against rather than voting for. Josh, how ugly do you think this gets, and how close do you think it gets?
I think that the past couple years or couple elections have shown us that we're probably in for razor close presidential elections, regardless of who the candidates are. If you look at how, I think more so than looking at 2008, we should start looking at 2012 because, Obama was not doing great when he started running for re-election. And then, the Republicans, thrift store mannequin, in Mitt Romney. So I think that it's, I'm just going to add to the heaping giant buffet of crow that I've had to eat this entire cycle. But I think it's going to get surprisingly serious given the way that the shit show has played out for the primary. I mean, the only way that Trump even rates against any Democrat, even Hillary with her high unfavorables, I mean, just given the way the electoral map goes, is if he is able to still be a bombastic sort of character, but in such a way that people feel like they can trust him and that he's kind of got a plan. The Trump's whole thing so far has been like, I wasn't supposed to win and here I am winning. I guess that's because I'm so winning. It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't seem to have a strategy. But now that we are, seeing Paul Manafort's Trump as opposed to, say, Lewandowski's Trump, I think that he is really going to try to pivot to being serious. I don't know if you guys saw the morning show appearances this morning, but, the one on Morning Joe, Trump sounded positively catatonic. And I don't think that's because he was tired or drunk or still laying in bed. I think he was trying to sound, that was his try at gravitas. So, it could get ugly. It has potential to be one of them like a 19th century level ugly sort of campaign. But I almost wonder if, because nothing has gone the way we've expected. I feel like that they're going to surprise us both and be serious, or Trump will be serious and Hillary will be funny, just because what the hell do we know?